Okay, we are live here on HMR's Facebook page. Thanks for joining us, folks. I appreciate those of you who are regulars coming every week to this event. I'm Coach Rick, and I am joined tonight by Coach Jen, but it's not the Jen that you know. It's a different Jen, Coach Jen A. Hi, Jen. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Yep, it's the other Jennifer, Jennifer A.
Yes, you are the other Jennifer. Yeah, so we've been talking about getting you on here side by side with me, at least virtually, and I'm so glad to have you joining me tonight for the conversation that we're going to have. So Jen, just give people just 2 seconds. How long have you been with HMR? Any other deets that might be useful?
Sure. Well, I've been with HMR for, just over 13 years now, working as a health coach and also as a client participating in phase 2 myself. So just absolutely love doing this work and getting to be on this journey with people as they're working on their weight and their health.
That's great. That's great. You are so committed to this work, as we all are. So it's great to be here with you. So tonight, guys, we are talking, this is a really interesting topic. We're talking about high volume food strategies and routines. This is such an important area for either losing weight and keeping up a rapid rate of weight loss or managing the weight that you've lost. So we're really going to unpack this tonight and talk about what do we mean by this, and hopefully you can leave this whole conversation after you've shared your low calorie but high volume food strategies, leave with some ideas about things that you can really put into action in this next week. These things really give you an advantage. But as we like to do, last week we had Coach Kate and Coach Jen talking about the fact that many people are coming back to school now, and the kids are going back, routines are changing, and we really want to see if, are you meeting those challenges? Are you looking at these as, in the most productive way, problems to solve? And there were a lot of discussions about this last week. And Jen, we like to give people a little opportunity to follow up on things that they shared in this communal space, things that they said they wanted to do this week. Having that little added accountability spotlight tends to make a difference in terms of people following through on what they hope to do. So let me just first ask Jen, you're going to be manning the comments here for us tonight. Are you able to see any comments? Has anyone said hi yet that they've joined in?
Let me check in. Oh, yes, we've got Iris here. Hey, Iris, it's great to have you on with us.
Hey, Iris, nice to have you here.
Yep, Susan's here.
Susan, truly a regular among regulars.
Anissa's here.
Okay, great.
We've got Bob. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob. As people are joining, if you haven't had a chance to just let us know that you're here, please let us know by giving us a quick hello, a quick comment. Just so great to see people who've taken the time to join us for this conversation tonight. So last night, feel free, by the way, interrupt me as people are joining in here, Jennifer, just anyone you want to say hi to as they're saying hi to us. We had a few different people who were taking on some different strategies, different ideas, people who acknowledged how different late August and September has become previous to the, compared to the summer. And I thought one of the themes, Jen, that was so funny in the comments in last week's episode was because the kids are now going back to school. And I think almost every parent has been a little bit more lax with letting the kids sleep in and not being quite so scheduled. The theme was not feeling bad about blending a morning shake, but actually using the blender in the morning as an alarm clock for the kids. Did you notice that theme? Several people sort of commented on that.
Yeah, I definitely did. I remember Jennifer Coach Jennifer C saying, time to wake up.
I love it. I love it. That's great. To me, that's totally transformative because the entire summer, it's been me being really careful with my blending. Oh boy, this is making noise. I've even brought the blender out on the back porch when my wife was on a Zoom call. So this just totally frees it up for me. It's time to wake the kids up, and it's also going to support me to get the morning shake in and not feel bad about it, which is just fantastic.
Right. We've got a couple of other folks here. Can I just interrupt and say hi to Dana? I know Dana's a regular.
Hey, Dana.
You're welcome, Dana.
Awesome. Glad you're here with us, Dana. Jen, we had a few different people who had again shared some things that were changing vis-a-vis last week's episode, and really how do we respond to changes now that the fall is here and school is back in session if you are a parent. And were there any of those comments that you wanted to follow up on, people that had taken on some things or had shared some things that might be challenges?
Gosh, yeah, we had some really good ones. I know, Bob, you mentioned that with the changes in the temperatures and just the weather getting a little bit cooler,
Yeah.
needing to start exercising outside a little bit more, that was a goal that you had. So we would love to have you post if that was something that you've made any changes to so far this week.
Yeah, Bob, have you had a chance to get out and enjoy, hopefully it's been cooler weather where you are inland on the West Coast, and let us know. Have you had a chance to crack that seal? And if not, that's the whole point of the accountability spotlight. We don't always follow through what we say we're going to do. It's sort of a matter of increasing the probabilities. And if that is something that still makes sense for you and something that you are still engaged in doing, if you didn't get a chance to do it, recommit to doing it. And then you'll be even more likely to do it this week. So let us know, Bob, if you got outside for the outside exercise. What else, Jen, from last week's accountability spotlight?
Goodness, I totally relate to this one. Susan, the kids are starting back with some hybrid learning. I think a lot of us can really relate to this, but they've got that long commute to and from work and really being proactive. I love this. You ordered the 2 30-ounce tumblers with the silicone straws so that you could really, make that shake and take it with you on the go.
I love that. I have to say, Susan, I also got the silicone straws, and they take a little getting used to. Have you noticed that? I didn't realize how much I had been sort of conditioned to the plastic straws through my entire life. Jen, it's sort of like a weird mouthfeel. And the ones I got, Susan, I don't know about you, but the straws are they're big, which I like. I like a big straw. I try to get a big straw. But the texture of it has taken some getting used to for me. I'm now used to it. But Susan, what's that been like for you? And are you using those big tumblers that you bought on that new commute that you're going to face?
Susan's commented on this, Rick. She said, I've started making shakes the night before to get out the door faster in the morning. So she's definitely putting this into play.
Great. Love it, Susan. Really, really good. It's the challenges aren't going to stop. I think that what was the question that was posed last week by Kate and Jen was, conditions are changing. Are you going to be run over by the changing conditions, or are you going to sort of dance with it and, engage in some active problem solving to really support your weight loss or your weight management? That really is the question. And it's hardly relevant for just last week because the conditions continue to change. Jen, I don't know about you, but I just got one of my 2 kids' schedules. I don't even have the other, my daughter's schedule yet. I just have my son's. And some of the stuff that Kate talked about last week, all of a sudden we've got these 8 o'clock meetings that are happening. And on Thursdays and Fridays, I have to get my son to the school for that. So I just got this yesterday. I haven't figured it out yet.
Right. It's a lot to manage. My favorite, it's so ironic, is when my daughter tells me that I need to be quiet because she has a Zoom meeting with her teacher and I need to pipe down over here at my desk doing my job.
Hashtag role reversal. Oh, goodness. I haven't gotten that yet, but now I know what to expect. So I'm really looking forward to that voice shouting from the room as the Zoom calls are starting. I will just say, sort of to underscore this point, Jen, I shared this with you earlier today. I live in Boston, right outside Boston. The Boston Globe had an article. It was titled "Pandemic Comfort Food is No Comfort at All." Really, they started by talking about the food, the fact that cookie and cracker consumption is up by 30%, that the intake of high calorie processed food is more popular than ever, anxiety up, but really it revolved around a lot of these changes that are happening now with the fall and with kids going back to school and schedules just really being up in the air. Not even to mention, Jen, the idea that the remote learning, I'd like to think that the schools are buttoned up about it, but I'm not so sure it's all buttoned up yet. So it's just one more example of the fact that we have to look to how we can sort of elegantly pivot as the problems and the challenges continue to sort of roll out in front of us, especially when we're talking about the area of lifestyle change and losing weight, managing weight. If you're not able to sort of agilely respond to changes as they come, boy, things go south pretty quick. So I think it's almost a question we should be continuing to ask in these events, which is, what changes are happening in your schedules, in your lives, that you need to sort of step in with both feet and be an active problem solver about. So let's make a point to keep asking that, Jen, as we go through here in subsequent discussions. Okay, so let's get to the matter at hand. This is one of the most important categories of skill that I feel that we have in the program, and we'll really talk about why that's the case. We're talking about high volume food strategies. It's so important for continuing weight loss if you're in phase 1 of the program, or if you're trying to lose weight in phase 2, or if you're just really actively trying to manage a weight loss. And one of the big advantages, maybe the biggest advantage of high volume food strategies and why they're so helpful in any of those goals is that they can give you more control over your food choices. And when you have more control over your food choices, that helps to give you more control over your calorie management. Weight loss, weight management, it all revolves around how tightly, how carefully can you manage your calories? How carefully can you control your calories? And in many ways, the whole program is set up to support people to do that. If you just think, Jen, of any aspect of the program, whether it's the commitments, whether you're showing up here as a form of attendance every Thursday night, or maybe you actually attend a class, maybe you attend a coaching session of some form, or even the record keeping, there's another commitment in the program. Those all do put you in a better position of control. They help to make you more aware, more mindful, and they give you that all-important increased accountability that people don't tend to have on their own. You could say the same thing about physical activity, Jen. Just from your own perspective, when you exercise, does that have an impact on your sense of control about your food choices that you're going to make?
It makes all the difference in the world for me.
Yep.
If I have a day where I don't exercise, then that just motivation to problem solve the calories inside of things just plummets, right? But when the PA is in place for me, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, for those of you watching, if you have found that to be the case for yourself as well. You go out, you do some PA, sometimes it doesn't even have to be that much PA. And you find that you literally have a different experience in looking at the next choices you're going to make as it relates to food. Does your physical activity support you in feeling, even if it's just a little bit, but more in control of the food choices you make next? So, you can look at all aspects of the program. They're all designed to, at bottom, support you to have a greater sense of control about your calorie management. I mean, Jen, obviously environmental control, that's a huge thing. Managing your environments, that really puts you in control. But tonight, we're really talking about, again, food strategies, food routines with a particular twist on high volume food routines as being somewhat unique in the world of food skills in terms of their leverage for giving you a stronger position around the choices that you do make. Yeah. And again, it's timely, right, Jen? This whole thing.
So timely, just to go back to what we've been talking about over the past week or so, with so many changes happening with our schedules and with our routines, really day to day, it just continues to have us feeling out of control on so many levels. So, we need to have as many ways to be in control of our calories as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. And routines are so special because they're almost like a shortcut in terms of how much effort you need to put into to follow through with the successful choice. When it's a routine, it's a routine. It's more like a habit. It just sort of happens. So if we can maybe contribute to people's high volume food routines here with this conversation, and as we ask that question, I'll be asking all of you watching to consider sharing some high volume food routines that work for you, routines that help you feel full and satisfied and help to take away that edge that can sometimes come with, well, what is my next food decision going to be? So that's really what we're focusing on here. So let's unpack it a little bit further. I want to talk a little bit more now about why high volume matters as much as it does. So if all of you watching could allow us to do just a little quick impromptu survey here for a minute here. I'd like you to all be prepared to respond with your answer to the following question. What is a situation? It could be an experience, it could be an event, or it could be like a factor, like something that just happens that leads you to wanting to eat. That's the question. What is something that happens to you that the next thing you know, the dominoes fall and you're like, I got to eat something? There are lots of different answers to this question. So it's not about getting it right. That's kind of the point here. There are a lot of different factors that influence when we want to eat and how much we end up eating. So Jen, just feel free to interrupt me. Let me know if people are responding with any responses to that. And I can sort of vet the question a little bit more. If you think about it, I mean, there's the obvious thing, which is hunger. So that might be your first answer, but there are other things that sort of nudge you towards wanting to eat. So go ahead, Jen.
We got one answer. Andrea says stress, Dana, boredom, and
yes.
Bad situation at work. Michaela, any sort of anxiety at all. Iris, just emotions.
Yes. It's unbelievable. All of those things that can happen. Whoops, let me turn this down.
Faster than I can read these comments, right? Yeah.
Being overly tired. Jane, thank you for that one. I just got the comments showing up here. Jane, that's an interesting one because now there's more and more research showing that when sleep deprivation really does take a direct hit on your willpower and resolve. So that one makes a lot of sense. Oh, look at this one, Michaela. Movies. Do you see that? Movies. See, that's one I wanted to say, Jen, which was you've got some biological things that might make you want to eat and determine how much you want to eat. But then there are other things that are almost like conditioned responses. Like for me, when I sit down at the end of the night, it's been a long day and I'm finally going to relax with the TV. Guess what else I want to do? You know it. You want to eat. That's a big one for me. And it's been sort of eye-opening to notice. So we're not talking about not eating during those times. We're talking about what you eat during those times. You might have some success at maybe, saying, gee, I'm not going to eat anything while I watch this next episode of Game of Thrones. But I don't know about you, Jen, but for me, I kind of want to eat during Game of Thrones. So if there's another alternative called there's something that I can eat and can enjoy, and it's not going to discourage my personal weight management or healthy lifestyle choices, that's something that I want to hear more of. Have people responded any more to that question?
This is just so true. Nancy says watching too many cooking shows.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
All of these things can play a role. So just straight out of the research, what we know is that proximity to food increases your likelihood of eating more food. Just if it's nearer to you, there are actually studies where they put candy close to you on a table versus far away. And when the candy's closer, you eat more of it. Portion size, the bigger the foods that are in front of you, you're likely to eat more. It nudges you to continue to eat when there's just more food present. Social cues, I find it interesting. This one, Jen, the idea that if you're just simply with people and they are eating, the studies are clear, you are more likely to eat. You don't have to be hungry. You just are going to eat. Say again?
You just want to join in.
Absolutely. I mean, food is a party. Being distracted, all of these things. So there are lots of different reasons. Thanks for just giving us a few of the different ones here. But the point that I want to sort of underscore, though, is that while there are many different things that can lead us to eating and can tempt you to eat, maybe even feel like you're craving food, there's one thing that sort of trumps them all. And it's the simple biological urge of hunger. And that's a very important point that we're sort of going to repeat here tonight. All of those things can influence our desire and how much we eat, but hunger is number one. While those other things are maybe learned responses, some of it has some biology to it. Hunger is the number one biological, let's just call it an imperative for eating. It's the way that the body has used through all of our evolution to send signals that you need to eat some food. Hunger is the cue. It sends messages to your brain that are unique. And I'm just curious, maybe Jen, just sort of off the top of my head here, I'm thinking, I know what happens to me when I'm hungry. I'm wondering if it might be kind of interesting just to ask the community for one response to one more quick survey question. Describe yourself when you're starving. Are you the nicest person in the world? I know what my kids say to me when I'm hungry. They say, boy, Dad, you're being a jerk. You must be hungry. So what's a word that describes how you might be when you're feeling really hungry? I'm curious. Jen, what about you? What's your response to that question?
Like foggy, fuzzy. It seems like I can't even think clearly when I'm really hungry. That's one thing that comes right to mind.
Yes. Andrea Joe said hangry. Shane, another hangry. Yes, yes. Smells, toast, barbecue, all of these things tempt people. Yeah, it just makes it so hard when you're hungry. It really is like your body, when you're hungry, I don't think it's overstating it. It's like your body is treating it like an emergency. Like you have to do something to change what's happening right now. So that's why when we are hungry, all of our intentions, our good intentions to make healthy food choices and to stay on track with whatever has been going so well that week tends to fall out the window. Being hungry is the number one thing that spurns people to eat. And it's really something that we try to help people to avoid as much as possible in the program so that, once again, that whole issue, Jen, of being in control comes back up. If you can really manage those instances when you are hangry, then you have done a whole lot towards managing your ability to balance your calories or to even lose weight by managing your calories very tightly.
She just spoke right to that. She said, unable to control my choices.
Yes, yes. So I think the one last sort of positional point about this, we're talking about what are your best strategies to be able to eat a lot of healthy food, but not a lot of calories. Jen, I'll have you come back to that question in just a minute. But the main point here is you're trying to maintain a sense of control by pushing out what people often fall into, which is they wait too long or they didn't eat enough of the healthy food. They end up getting hungry. And then that rational person that we all like to think we are sort of disappears. And then we all know what happens next. And then the next day you say, boy, yesterday didn't go so well. So I would just add one other element to this, Jen, in terms of why being hungry can be such a problem. When you look at surveys in terms of the approach that people use to lose weight, the number one approach, and this is a very consistent finding that people report in trying to lose weight, is to try to eat less. So we already know that if you find yourself really hungry, that becomes a challenge in terms of making the next successful choice. But now you have culturally people, their approach to weight loss is to try to eat less. So you've got people not doing too well in trying to lose weight or manage their weight. And that's a big problem right there, trying to eat less. So we, again, feel like we wanted to spend tonight's episode on, there is another move to make, and it is called high volume food strategies to help you feel full and satisfied. So Jen, tee up the question here, and we're really going to spend the rest of our time in this event reviewing people's answers to this.
Right. So we would love to hear from you. What's a favorite low calorie but high volume meal or snack that you're really enjoying most right now? We want you to share. And as we generate some of these comments and these ideas and we bring them up in discussion, be thinking about, is there one that you're hearing that you want to try? Maybe there's going to be more than one, probably. Yes. Maybe one or two high volume strategies that you'd like to try.
Yeah. So Jen and I have prepared a few of our own personal favorites. We would ask you, if to be real active participants in the event tonight, take some time to think about, just come up with one. What's a favorite high volume meal or snack? It could be related to HMR shakes with or without fruit. It could be HMR entrees with vegetables. It could be a stage 2 recipe where, of course, the produce has to be a big part of that. Shane sort of demonstrated that in many different ways in that grilling episode we did a few weeks ago, where you notice all of those great proteins that he showed how to grill. They were all paired, so much volume on the produce, so that once again, yeah, the protein's great, but by itself might not be enough to really have you full and satisfied. You've got to complement those measured proteins, or if you're in phase 1, the HMR shakes and entrees with additional fruits and vegetables, if that's part of your plan.
We're getting some great recipe and strategy ideas, Rick.
Yeah, let's hear some. What do you got?
So we have, let's see here, lots of cold red grapes, adding riced broccoli, shakes with fruit, adding veggies to the entrees. Let's see here, turkey chili on a huge salad with fat-free sour cream and salsa as the dressing. That's one of my favorites too, Andrea.
Yeah, that's good. Earlier in the week, we had posed this question as a thought starter. What are your favorite high volume food routines? We got a couple of really good answers. One from Catherine M., one from Mary. They both mentioned the beef stroganoff, and with mushrooms, and Mary with spinach. Go back and look in the comments for that, with a little fat-free sour cream. And it was interesting. Catherine's recipe was very similar to that. 3 cups of baby spinach, 2 canned mushrooms. That's a lot of volume, but what's the main point here? Not a lot of calories. Getting filled up before the calories add up. That's the math that we're trying to play here. Really, really good. Jen, I'm going to share a couple that were kind of popular in previous Facebook Live events. Kate had shared a Starbucks frozen coffee, not frozen, chilled, no calorie coffee that you buy at the store. It's a nice big one. It was like a dark roast coffee, and she uses that with her shakes, and people were just furiously commenting on how they were going to try that as a high volume shake. It has so much coffee flavor that you're really able to add a lot of ice to that and really blend it up nice and big. And then another one in an episode that I had done, Jen, was the diet orange soda. I've kind of moved over to these sparkling different flavor juices. This one's orange mango flavor. It's actually got a few more ounces than the regular canned soda. And I put that in with 2 HMR 120. I add a little of the cheesecake Jello instant pudding, probably the most popular of the instant puddings to add in. This is a great volume strategy. Just adding flavor without adding a lot of calories, you can make a much bigger shake. And then I even add a little extract just for a little extra pow. I typically do vanilla extract, but I've been doing the coconut recently. You're adding so much flavor to the same calories of the shake that you can actually add more fluid and you can add more ice, and you end up filling the entire blender. So those were just a couple popular ones from the last few episodes. Kate's coffee recipe, and then the diet orange soda, which a lot of people had shared that they liked.
Those are great, Rick. We also have Sherry chiming in that she makes all of her shakes as mousses. So, a lot of volume, like the soft serve ice cream. That's great, Sherry. Love that one.
That's great, Sherry. That the mousses now, that's made with the food processor, with the Cuisinart, and just watch how to make HMR ice cream on YouTube if you don't know how to do that, and that creates a particularly large amount of food. And if you look at all of the ways that you can prepare HMR foods, calories per ounce, that is probably the lowest. The ice cream or the mousse or the ice cream gives you the most volume, the most filling experience with your food for the fewest possible calories. So I just wanted to sort of underscore that. Sherry, great. Obviously that works for you. I mean, being full on few calories, I mean, you just can't go wrong. That's wonderful. I see Michaela here, Jen, has broccoli crowns. I like adding it to everything. I just don't know too many other options yet. Day 4, healthy solutions. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that one. That's my favorite vegetable. I probably do broccoli crowns 4 nights out of the week in the wok. I'm boring that way. But at 40 calories a cup, once again, you're going to get filled up before the calories add up. That's a fabulous high volume food strategy, adding broccoli or really any such low starch veggies to your meals like that. Really, really good. What else do you have there, Jen?
Gosh, we've got Jane chiming in with another just salad idea, salad being perfect high volume, low calorie strategy. Oh, Iris has a good recipe here. A scoop of the 120 with a banana and a tablespoon of PB2 and lots of ice.
Oh, she stole mine. That was one I was going to share. Yeah, I love that one. The PB2, it adds sort of a, I don't know if this is the right way to describe it, Jen, but it's almost like a carbohydrate-y. You know, the shakes are so sweet, but the PB2 adds like sort of like a carbohydrate hit to the shake that I find very satisfying. I'll just quickly share a story that we tell all the time in HMR that will be very relevant, Iris, to your shake. We have been, you know, as everyone in the company uses our products all the time. So it's a common experience. Back when we were in the office, you'd be in a meeting and you'd be in the conference room or wherever you're meeting. And all of a sudden, someone would jump up like 5 minutes into the meeting and go, "Oh, I forgot my shake is still blending." And they'd run out. This has happened to all of us at HMR. And so the shake was in there blending away with a ton of ice for, 4 or 5 minutes. And invariably they come back with their shake in a big cup. And it's like, wow, is this creamy? And that's something that we learned just kind of by accident, which is if you put, let's say you put a little too much ice and your shake is like a little too icy for you, walk away for a few minutes and then come back. And what you'll find is it just pumps up the volume and adds a creaminess to the texture that I personally annoy everyone at home here with, Jen, because I blend my shakes for a long time because it
makes really tight.
Say it again.
If you walk away, just be sure you've got the lid on the blender really snugly.
Yeah, well, that's true too, because it gets big, right? And it can spill over the blender. So that's a very good point. A note of caution there. That's great. Look at this, Andrea Joe, even, responding to Andrea Joe. Thank you, HMR Health Coach. Even warm shakes can be big. So I make a warm chai shake with at least 2 cups of warm tea, a scoop or a packet of a shake. Yeah, I've done that as well with the 70 pluses of cocoa. I find if I add a couple of equals, I can add an enormous amount of water and create a huge shake that way. That's really great. Okay, let's talk about another. Oh, Jen, please, you have shared with me this fabulous recipe with the chicken soup. Please regale us. Guys, pay attention to this one and look at this recipe.
So I've seen a lot of great comments actually coming through where people are combining entrees with the HMR chicken soup. It's such a great way to really transform an entree into just a creamy comfort food. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, especially as we change seasons, that's really what I start to crave. You can also combine the entrees with broth, of course, and you can add veggies. There's so many really great combinations. I'm going to try to show you this without spilling it all over myself here, but this is the rotini Alfredo. You can see the volume here that you get from combining the rotini Alfredo.
Huge.
Right? Combine it with the HMR chicken soup. I had some roasted carrots, so I threw those in there, but you could throw in, any veggies that you wanted if you felt like it. And then this is the secret ingredient that I add to pretty much everything. It's hot sauce. So people in my groups know I talk about Cholulu all the time. I add it, but spice it up. Add garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasonings. But I'm a big fan of the hot sauce or just a little bit of Cajun seasoning added to it as well.
Awesome. Totally great. Boy, that is an enormous meal right there. I would just say that, if anyone watching is on the decision-free program where you're not currently adding produce to your weight loss effort, it's just HMR Foods. I've done this a million times, but I've done that. You do the HMR chicken soup, add all of the spices that you like the best, and then you add the entree to it. If you haven't taken advantage of that, that's a whole nother level of feeling full and feeling satisfied that if you're not doing that strategy, you may not have experienced yet. And again, our main theme here, we're talking about high volume food strategies. Why? Because they help you to feel more in control of your food choices. Anything you can do to push off hunger, which is such a seminal biological feeling that, the hungrier we get, the less likely we are to make a healthy choice for the next thing that we eat. So that really is the game that we're playing here. Absolutely, while you're losing weight with HMR, but as part of keeping off weight, it all matters. So these high volume strategies are essential. Hunger sort of trumps everything. And if you can sort of get a grip on that with some of these high volume strategies, many of which you guys have already shared here, my hope is that some of the discussion is sparking some creativity on people's parts to maybe look at your high volume food strategies with like a renewed focus, because this really does put you in the driver's seat around managing your calories, because you've taken out that big factor that tends to sway our food decisions. I'm hungry, I didn't plan, and boy, whatever tempting food in front of me is just looking too good to resist. Preempt it with the high volume food strategies. All right, let's share another one here, Jen. Do you want to go with stick with decision free and combining two entrees, or do you want to go on to a healthy solutions one? Your decision.
I think, if we're thinking about decision free, just another great way to get variety in addition to the volume is you can combine two different kinds of entrees together.
Yes.
So just one example is the veggie beef stew and the lentil stew. Putting those together, it's just a protein powerhouse, because combined you're getting about 23 grams of protein, only 230 calories. The win.
Absolute win. And if you look at the bottom of this, what I'm showing here, calorie density is very, very low, 21 calories per ounce. In the world of food, you don't have a lot of 21 calorie per ounce foods out there. I mean, the lowest calorie protein, Shane will tell you, he really showcased shrimp in that grilling episode a few weeks ago. Shrimp is around somewhere around 25 calories per ounce. So you add these two entrees together, you get basically a pound of food for only 330 calories, and it works out to be, again, only 21 calories per ounce. And so the game you're playing is getting filled up before the calories add up. That is sort of the takeaway here with these high volume strategies. All right, love that one. Really, really good. Let me give you another one here. I prepared this earlier today. I share this example all the time with my weight loss group. Something about zucchini and summer squash, for me personally, it just, you cook it and it hasn't wilted into something that's not substantial. It still is substantial. So for me, it's very satisfying. I also happen to really like the taste. I could steam up diced zucchini and put sea salt on it and have it as a snack. Here I have the HMR lasagna with 3 cups of zucchini and summer squash. And what I did, Jen, to sort of extend the entree was I took just the top 1.5 inches or so of these stewed tomatoes, put them in a pan, very few calories. If it's 30 calories, I'd be surprised, but it was quite a good amount of stewed tomatoes. Put the entree in on top of it, got it boiling, mixed it in, it sort of reduced down. And it really, not that I would really have a problem with adding a second HMR entree to this, because they're very low calorie, but this is a super high volume, 340 calorie plate of food. I have 3 cups of zucchini. I have the entree. I have a little bit of the stewed tomatoes on top of it. It's just a lot of food for very, very few calories. And if you think about it, you go out in today's food culture, where are you finding 330, 340 calorie plates of food? And the answer is you're not. The only place you're getting them is in your house if you're making them, because they don't exist. So again, here's one more example. I love this. I'll do this for a lunch. I might make it a little bit bigger even, Jen, if I was going to do it for dinner, because I like a big dinner. But totally successful, super low calorie, very, very filling. One more time, guys. Look at that.
getting a thumbs up about the stewed and diced tomatoes, adding so much flavor and volume to a meal.
Yeah, diced, stewed, all of it. Such a low calorie way to extend your entrees that have a tomato base to them if you want more food, either by itself or to go over other vegetables as well. Really, really good. Hey, Jen, Nancy earlier this week told me my brother Bill, for those of you who are listening, probably have heard me talk about my brother Bill. He's also a coach in the HMR program, also been with HMR for more than 30 years. He's been hammering the 120 vanilla with spinach and berries in it. And I know my brother, and I know that he has been greatly influenced by all of this tremendous research that's coming out now about preventing cognitive decline through enhanced nutrition. And if there are two things that rise to the top of the list in the studies, the leafy greens is probably number one. And that's why he's putting them in there. But Nancy shared with me that he thinks they taste, he doesn't taste the leafy greens, but he likes the berries in there as well, just because it gives it the taste he wants for his high volume, but very low calorie shake. So greens, we've heard a lot about salads here, Jen. What else would you say about that? Oh, here we go.
So visual here, since you're speaking about the leafy greens, you know, when we talk about volume and you take an entree, and I know many of you who are on tonight have been commenting that you love to do these big salads and then put a warmed up entree on top, you could have this entire container of leafy greens. It's about 40 calories, right? And look at the volume that you get.
Unbelievable. And you know, we don't talk about this that often, but it takes some time to eat that, right? With the entree on it, that matters. You know, we're in such a gobble it down quick so I get on to my next meeting type world. People aren't as mindful generally in our culture around their food. And like, that's just another way of sort of slowing it down a bit, not eating a lot of calories, but eating a lot of food. I want to just comment, Renee, thank you. I love this cauliflower soup. This sounds awesome. I bag frozen cauliflower, chicken or veggie broth with HMR chicken soup, quickly blend in the blender, vent it to steam, makes a creamy, low-calorie soup. So that's to add to your stew idea there, Jen. I love that. That's really, really good. Okay, so lots of different ideas. No matter what we do, it's always the case each week, right? The time runs out. We've only scratched the tip of the iceberg. I want to make sure that sort of the reason why we thought focusing on the high volume again was such an important thing. You know, no one likes to feel out of control in any way or any aspect of their lives. And it's particularly tough when you feel that way with your own weight management. People like to feel like they have some control. And the fact is, there are things you can do to feel a greater sense of control. And really, the angle that we took on this tonight was tackling that biological imperative that we have to meet when it's calling our name, which is if you let yourself get hungry, you are going to eat. And it may not be the food choices that you 2 hours before would have chosen to eat. So it's sort of a very proactive, preemptive way of applying this skill of high volume but low calorie food routines, meals, snacks, anything that you've seen tonight, and applying them at a higher level in your life to just give you a little bit more of a sense of, I am in the driver's seat here. If you're dealing with the hunger, it's awfully hard to drive that car straight. So hopefully this conversation has been helpful. And I think maybe we could turn the corner, Jen, and ask people, is there anything that you've heard tonight that you think that you can put into play this week? Could be something that's fallen off your radar screen that you used to do, or it might be a new idea that would help you to better use volume, high volume, low calorie eating as a strategy for better controlling your calories this week. So I think that is sort of the question. What did you hear tonight that, if you are so inclined to take your position under the accountability spotlight, would you be willing to formally take on this week as part of your ongoing work to either lose weight or better manage your weight, whatever phase of the program you're in? Okay, so I'm looking at a few and just seeing. Marlene, I started mixing 2 entrees together. So she's taken on that strategy, adding all kinds of vegetables and then dividing it into 2 meals. I like that, Marlene, because you're creating a new flavor by adding 2 entrees together. So again, Dana has offered here Jen. She's going to try the spinach and berry shake.
Great.
Well, I love it. And see if you notice yourself thinking that much more clearly, given the incredibly protective effects that those foods have on our cognitive functioning, Dana. That's great. Love it.
Iris is going to add the diced tomatoes to some entrees.
Yeah, the tomatoes is a really good way to make those go longer and add more flavor to your meals. Really like that. Nancy's going to try the cauliflower soup idea. Good, Nancy. Let us know how that goes. Come join us again next week and we'll follow up with you just to hear how that was as a strategy for sort of volumizing your meals. Andrea also on the tomatoes. Looks like the soup was a hit, Jen. Tanya's going to try the soup with the vegetables. I love it. Really, really good. Don't feel bashful putting an entree in with that for some extra protein and another level of satiety with that soup. Very, very good.
Sounds like Susan got a good tip from Coach Nancy about partially prepping shakes ahead of time and then adding the ice in the morning so that they stay colder and thicker longer. That's great, Susan.
Wonderful. Really, really good. Okay, well, let us know if we did the job tonight. Guys, thank you so much for being here. These events would be nothing without all of you contributing your life experience and your comments all along the way. We hope that this was helpful. Jen, it was great to have you here. And this is the first of many, I'm sure, of us co-hosting or you with someone else on these airwaves.
It's been super fun. I hope that everybody has a great week. Good luck in the week ahead.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good luck. Have a good night and have a great, successful week. Take control with these high volume strategies. Let's see if they can help you have an even better week than you might otherwise had you not joined us in this conversation tonight. Thank you so much.